Welcome back. I'm Dylan with BeamerTech, and on today's video we take this beautiful F13 M6 and completely transform the speaker system with our Alpha One speaker upgrade by BeamerTech. This will give you crystal clear highs, deep sounding lows, and perfect mids.
Here is a list of the tools you'll need for the job. Make sure you get our BeamerTech Pride tools to protect your interior.
And make sure when you're working on anything electronic for your car, you disconnect the battery. So in here, we're gonna open up the trunk, remove this panel, you'll find the battery underneath, and you're gonna loosen the negative terminal with a 10mm socket and disconnect that terminal. All right, so now we're gonna replace the tweeters and the mids. You're gonna want your pry tool and your ratcheting screwdriver for that with a T20 Torx bit. You're gonna set those aside because the first thing we're gonna do is take off this little triangular piece right here. You just use your hands, pry that off, up and away. And this little foam piece is gonna come with it. Set that aside. Next, we're gonna take off this part right here. Set your pry tool in between and start prying away. It's gonna make a few snapping noises. That's a good sign. That's the clips disconnecting. A little bit easier to get underneath there and start prying away from you. There you go. The rest you can gently get off with your hands. So once that's off, set that aside. You're gonna find 3 screws here that you're gonna wanna unscrew, as well as the one that's in the door over here. Set those aside. So the other door panel is actually gonna be a lot easier than this one. This one screw that I'm unscrewing right now, that's all you have to worry about. Those don't exist on the other side. And then it pops off the same way, which we're gonna show you as soon as we get this screw out. And then we'll get this panel off and disconnected. There we go. So now we come to the part where we actually have to take the door panel off. There are gonna be clips all the way around here and a couple in the middle. Now, when you take your pry tool and insert it and start popping this off, you're gonna hear a lot of pops and clicks. Don't worry, that's a good thing. These fasteners are very strong and you're not gonna break them. Now, we are gonna show you this one. We took the other one off already, but this one is a little bit more difficult with the extra screws, so we figured to get the most out of this one. So when we do start disconnecting it, you're gonna find that there's a lot of wires in there and a lot of connectors. We're gonna disconnect most of them. Some of them we're gonna leave attached, but you're gonna wanna have a towel handy because the door panel isn't coming completely off. We are gonna rest it on the side. You don't wanna scratch it up. Remember, the snapping is okay. Be careful of the door lock mechanism here, or the door pin. All right, so with the door panel off, now we're gonna start disconnecting some cabling. First, over here, there are 2 pins to pinch in, and then you could pull it back, just like so. Here, flip up, and then this mechanism will pop out, just like that. Oh, that's right, you do have to feed it through a couple plastic notches on here, because that is gonna wanna be disconnected. And here, we're gonna pull these 2 cables out of the speaker, just pull back. They're a little tight. All right, now after that, we're gonna have to carefully articulate the panel so that way we're not tugging too heavily on these. Just gonna set this off to the side, like so. And we'll be good to start disconnecting the tweeter. All right, so now we're gonna disconnect this speaker. We got 3 screws. We're gonna pull this out just like so and set that aside because we're going to a brand new shiny Alpha One speaker from BeamerTech. We're gonna put this in here. See, all the holes are gonna line up and simply screw it back in. You don't wanna go too tight with these, but you definitely wanna make sure it's not gonna rattle. So BeamerTech designed these speakers to have the plug in the back and not on the side. So to dress our wires properly to make sure they all fit, we're gonna plug in our harness here. We're gonna tuck this wire off to the side, that'll be behind the speaker. Untwist your wires so that way you can tuck them into this notch here. And then there's one more notch here. That's where our wires are gonna stick through when you put these speakers in your door. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's move on to the tweeter. All right, so first thing we wanna do is get these cables freed up. So you're gonna pop this and this clip here. Pop this around here, and your tweeter is free to come out. So we're gonna take our little pick tool here, pop the tweeter out just like so, and our tweeter is free, just like that. So we're gonna take our BeamerTech tweeter, and we're gonna put it in just where we found that one. All right, so we're gonna just tidy this cable up by tucking this in just where the last one came out. Make sure these cables are out of the way when we reinstall the panel. Snaps in, and we're good to go. All right, so now we're gonna plug in our speakers. I'm gonna take the mid, and it's gonna go into mid, like so. And we're gonna take our tweeter, put it into tweeter, as so. Second set of hands would be great, but you can do it with one. There you go. All right, next we're gonna do our door latch mechanism. Make sure your door handle is flat all the way against the door. Angle it down, snap it in. All right, we're gonna feed the latch mechanism through the clips that it came out of originally. Let's feed those back through. And then we're gonna take our multi-pin connector here, right back into where it came from. It snaps into place. Time to put the panel back on. First, we're gonna take the lock pin and guide it through this hole here. Slide the panel down. And I like to line up the pins on the bottom first. You can see the holes at the bottom of the door. Get them all lined up as best you can. And then start to put the panel back in place. Check your cables, make sure nothing's gonna get snagged on any of these pins or clips. All right. There we go. Now it's time to put on the rest of the trim that we took off and the screws as well. So, we'll take our screws, we'll take our screwdriver. Once all your screws are tight, I'm gonna reinsert this trim piece right here. Start from the top first, guide it into the first hole, snap the rest back into place like that. And last but not least, this triangle piece. Just be mindful of the foam. We're gonna slide that in the opposite way we took it out. It is gonna be a little tricky. Maybe even slide the foam in there first. Biggest thing to remember is get it underneath the weather stripping. Just guide it with your hands. And then it will snap into place. All right, that door panel is done. And now we're gonna place the two speakers on the dashboard. So go in the corner, start popping the pins up like so. Use a combination of your hand and the pry tool. Don't pull it up with just your hand though, if you don't want to bend it or crack it. And then there you go. Now we have access to the two speakers here. You're gonna take your Torque 20s bit and you're going to start working all these loose. All right, so since this is a tighter location, you're gonna wanna use a small ratchet or something like this 90-degree tool we have here. You wanna work loose all 5 of those T20 Torque screws and just take your time doing it. So when you're trying to get that closest screw out from that mid, you don't wanna take the tweeter out first because it's underneath that. All right, so we're gonna pull our tweeter out, set it off to the side, and then get that last screw from the mid out. All right, now that we got all the screws out, we're gonna take the mid speaker out, and behind that is gonna be the connection point that we're gonna wanna take off, and the tweeter's gonna come along with it. We're just gonna pull this out like so. Make sure we don't lose it down into the hole. Tuck it away somewhere where it won't get lost. All right, now we're gonna put the Alpha One speakers into the dashboard. So we got the mid one here. We're gonna plug it into the existing harness. This right here is gonna be for our tweeter. So we are going to plug our tweeter in, like so, nice and easy. We're going to feed our cables down into this hole here, and remember the mid has to go in first. So we're going to get this oriented the correct way. There is a little notch right here where the speaker for the tweeter is going to, the cable for the tweeter, excuse me, is going to come out. Let's tuck this off to the side for now. It is a little awkward trying to get everything to fit perfectly, but as you can see, it does. Good, so a little test fit is complete. We're gonna move the tweeter out of the way, start screwing down that mid. All right, now we'll move on to the subs. And now we're gonna get to the subs underneath the seat. Now, there are 5 bolts you need to get rid of. 1 here, 1 there, 1 back there, and 2 back there. And each one has a little plastic cover. I removed the rears before, and the bolts come out just like this. They are greasy, so don't set them on the carpet because that's not gonna be too good. So let's address the front ones right now. So these covers are pretty easy. Just gonna pull the tab up and then slide forward. The only one that's tricky is the one in the back, which you could see me getting here. Now for these bolts, it's going to be a Torx 50. So let's get to it. Now for this, you also want to make sure that your seat has power, because we need to slide it forward and backwards. That way we can tilt it backwards to have access to the sub. Now, like I mentioned before, the car is going to need power for this because we have to slide the seat forward and back so that way we can tilt it backwards and have access to the sub grille, which we are going to do right now. We're going to move the seat forward. Once it gets to its forwardmost position, we're going to tilt it all the way back. Now, when you do tilt it back, don't unplug anything you see underneath because that's attached to the airbag system and you'll get an airbag warning light if you do. All right, now that we can see the grille, 4 Torx 20 screws, let's go. All right, so we're gonna remove this kick panel right here so that we can peel back the carpet and get better access to the speaker. There's a bit of a hinge on the end, so just pull it away from the car and set that aside. Now, inside the speaker, once we pull the carpet back, you're gonna see 4 silver screws. There's gonna be Torx 20 as well. We're gonna remove those, unclip the speaker, and then we'll be able to lift or gently pry the speaker right out of the surround. Pull this carpet back, get it out of the way. You're gonna start seeing the screws we need to remove. So let's get these screws out. All right, so for the connector back here, there's a little tab that you're going to want to press. A screwdriver might help if you have large fingers. And you're going to pull up at the same time. There you go. Now the speaker is going to lift right out. We found a gentle bit of persuasion help. So you just take your screwdriver, put it between the surround and the speaker, lift up, and out she comes. One old speaker ready to be replaced by a nice new BeamerTech one. All right, and here we go with the brand new Alpha One sub. Let's get it installed. Simply drop it in right where the other one came out. Gonna have to move the carpet out of the way, of course. But it will be a very nice, perfect fit. Goes. Plugging it in is simple. Line up the connector, slide it down. And we're in. Put in those 4 screws that we took out. Put the grill back on. Put the seat back. And we're done. Don't drop your screws. Pro tip. You want to make sure these are tight so the speaker doesn't rattle, but you don't need to be overly tight with them. All right, so once that's done, you're gonna lower your seat back down, put all 5 bolts in, all 4 covers, and that last piece of trim, and then installation is complete. So as you can see, installation is straightforward and simple. To find the speaker system that works best for your car, head on over to our website and enter your VIN number, and you'll see all the packages that are available. To find out more tips and tricks about how Beamer Tech can help you with your car and with future upgrades, make sure you click subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.